We are here at this Trinity Multipurpose Center run by the church or owned by the church. And we want to thank them for giving us permission to be here. Because, comrades, if we were not here tonight, we would be in the street. Because, again, we have been denied by this wicked government, Timothy Harris government, the use of the community center. We had asked for this town hall to be in the Old Road Community Center. And again, we were denied the use of the community center. That can be right, comrades? Throughout this country, there is a sense of unfairness that's running through this land. I've spoken to quite a few young people. Young people don't like unfairness, regardless of the politics. One thing they don't like is unfairness. And it has to be unfair that the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, who command the majority of the support here in Kitts-Nevis, consistently is being denied the use of the community centers. You know what's ironic about that? They were put down under us. They were put down under us with the help of the Taiwanese, and again we want to thank them. Though all of them were put down under us around this country, because only we had the vision to do that. And when we were there, I was the minister in the last administration. Whenever they applied for the center and they were available, they were given permission. Hamilton was given permission. Sean Richards was given permission. They were given permission to use the centers. And now they're saying to us, you can't use the centers. You can't use the centers just because of politics. Something has to be wrong with that. And it's time for us to do something about that. It's time for us to do something about that. We can't continue to allow them just to deny us the use of the centers and we just take it like that. Something has to be done about that, because there's a sense of unfairness that is running throughout this country. And it doesn't rest only with community centers. There's something called separation of powers in every democracy. All that means is that basically the government must be separate from the court. The government cannot run the court because that is an abuse. It is an abuse of power. And what we have running throughout this land is a sense of unfairness and an abuse of power. Timothy Harris put his sister Donna to be a magistrate without any advertisement of that post. Whenever you have a vacancy in the magistracy, that is advertised. And whoever is qualified would have an opportunity to apply for that post. That didn't happen with Donna Harris. She's the only person who knew there was a vacancy. They just up and gave her the post as a magistrate. Ironically, we had some people here, I still have them here, I hope they're listening, from the OS, who said they're here to deal with corruption. The corruption convention, and one of the things they were looking at is how people get hired. They want to know if there's any corruption in how people get hired, because they're saying that you have to advertise these posts. But when you don't advertise them, that's corruption. That's corruption, because you take them up and you give them to whoever you want. She wasn't the only person who was qualified to take the post. So why didn't they advertise it? And they have all sorts of other posts that they've given out there that they have not advertised, like the director of sports, like the director of culture, like the PS in education. All of those posts and many others were not advertised. They were just taken up and given to someone with the corrupt hiring practices that is taking place in this government. There is a sense of unfairness that is running throughout this country. Look at what happened over the last month or so. You know, from the very beginning of this administration, Timothy Harris said to the police, we're getting rid of them. The very first meeting with the police, the very first meeting, we're getting rid of them. He wasn't talking about crime and security, talking politics, and some of the police clapping in the meeting. So what you expect today? Today you have the full-fledged politicization of the police force. That's what you have now. Full-fledged politicization of the police force. Because there's a sense of unfairness that is happening in this country. A sense of unfairness. Imagine, over the last 3 to 4 weeks, look at what happened. You have a government who is now locking up their political opponents. Where does that happen? Only in dictatorial countries. Only in undemocratic countries. You have the Prime Minister giving instructions to the police to lock up the political opponents. There's a sense of unfairness. So, for example, when they send for Officer Hodge from Nevis to lock him up because he drove Dougie in an independence convoy. That's what it's all about. Because he drove Dougie in the independence convoy. And when we coming down in the convoy, I was in there too, you know, me and Congress. And the people on the streets are in the bus. Yeah, and clapping and so on. Timothy ain't like that at all. He said we got to do something about that. Imagine they never stopped Hodge while he was driving, which is what usually happens when they stop you, and if they say show me your license, he was never stopped. He was already back up in Nevis the next day on his job, and they bring him down in his uniform. Refuse him bail. I wonder what crime he committed. Refuse him bail. Lock him up in a cell in a uniform. Lock him up in a cell in a uniform. Drag him before a magistrate the next day to go and get bail because they say he's driving with an expired license. You know how many people driving with expired license? How many of them they're locking up? There's a sense of unfairness that is happening to this land. And apart from the fact that he's not the only one, I don't have too many other cases, if any, where even if you're caught driving with an expired license, that somebody arrests you, lock you up without bail, drag you before the magistrate, usually it's a ticketable offense. Usually it's a ticketable offense. But again, it is part of what is happening now in terms of the abuse of power and the way in which the courts are influenced. And of course, you know the recent case with NATO. You know the recent case with NATO? You're going to take NATO off his job, lock him up, arrest him. I think the only reason why NATO get bail the same time because they had so much outcry and so much outrage with Hodge that they didn't want to repeat that part of it. So that's the only reason why NATO get bail on the same day that he was arrested. They said they arrest NATO because he didn't renew his firearm license on time. But I want you to understand, because a lot of people out there with false information know that when they arrested NATO had already renewed his license. Yes, there was a lapse. He had already renewed his license. But again, there's a sense of unfairness because about 25 other people lapse. How come only NATO you're locking up? Again, we are saying, when this country has reached a stage where justice is seen through political eyes, we are going to descend into chaos. We are going to descend into chaos because not very many people can sit back and allow people to be locked up because of politics, and other people who do the same thing gone scot-free. There's a sense of unfairness out here in this country. which we all must stand up against, speak out against. And maybe the time has come for us to picket the court. Because the other sister, who is the registrar, is in there just doing the political bidding of her brother. That's what she's doing in there. And so when people file matters in the court, depending on who you are, your matter get pushed behind. And depending on who you are, your matter get pushed forward for politics. How much longer can you do that? Natta filed a matter this week, Monday, against the government. And they didn't process his documents the same time as they do with other people. But guess what? The government don't get the documents. You ever hear that? You file something in the court against the government. They haven't processed your document, but they don't send it over to let them know what is happening with the matter. That is what the registrar is doing. There's a sense of unfairness out there. We have to protest against that. Because we are supposed to be a democracy where the government is supposed to be separate from the court. And so it can be right for the court to be used for politics and to pressure the opponents, the political opponents of the government. And so I could tell you, in the legal profession, there's a lot of talk about the magistrate, the registrar, lots of talk, shushing. But I ain't hear nothing from the Bar Association publicly. But the lawyers many of them, I would dare say most of them, are unhappy with the situation that is happening in the court. Number of them have written letters to the Chief Justice. You'll be surprised to know some of those who have written letters. And at one point, the Chief Justice had said that they must remove her from the court. Told the Attorney General, Juicy Byron, to remove her. And he did remove her for a short time, maybe a couple of months. But then after that, I was sure Tim Musica and said, "Boy, what stupid is she doing? You don't know that, my sister. You got to put her back." And so she's back in there, doing as she likes with people's documents. So what it is, one lawyer was telling me yesterday that she filed something, or she was doing something for some client, and went in there and they tell her, no, go to another lawyer. Go to another lawyer. So what they do is they frustrate some lawyers by not processing the documents. And when the clients get fed up, they say, "We go to another lawyer." Whoever lawyer they want you to go to. Is a sense of unfairness that's happening out here in this country. And we need to stand up. We need to picket the court. Because the registrar has to go. The registrar has to go. Because there's a sense of unfairness out there. And it's not right what is happening inside the court. And so we are saying that if we live in a democracy and we don't get the kind of justice, as they say, where there is no justice, there is no peace. And so we would not have any peace in this country. People, this administration is known for its rampant victimization of people. Look around you in Central Bastille, in East Bastille, all over. People have been dismissed, demoted. Some people are being frustrated. There are people right now on their jobs who are not doing anything at all. They go to work every day, they give them absolutely nothing to do. Just to frustrate them and to make them want to give up their job and go home. But hold the fort. Don't become frustrated. Find something to do with your time. Find something positive to do with your time. Don't allow them to force you out of your jobs. But I want to say to you that a new Labour administration will ensure that there is fairness in the justice system. We will go back to where we were before, where there was genuine separation of powers in this country, where the government never sought in any way to interfere with the court process. You could go to court, take anybody to court, whatever you want to do, take the government to court. There's nobody who could claim that under Labour there was any interference in the court while we were there. And so the people of this country have to understand what the choice is. Do we continue to have this unfairness, this abuse in the court system, or we want to have a true democracy where true separation of powers exists? And this is what Labour promises you, for it is all about you. For the past 4 years, it's all about the Harrises and their friends. All about the Harrises and their friends. Well, we are saying your time has come. Your time has come. And so what Labour says is that it's all about you. You will be looked after under Labour. The country will be far better run. You know, there was some poll out there that they say that somebody or the other did. And in that poll, Labour right now would win 6 seats. But of course, it has troubled him so much that he went to put out this fake poll. This other fake poll, which really just sends the message that he wants to send, which is Lindsay get 0.2% for leadership on the poll. 0.2%. Now you tell me, who would want to announce that? That is Tim trying to put Lindsay in the place. If Lindsay think that he could go out there and challenge Tim, better know yourself. Check yourself. 0.2% you get in the poll here. Under the leadership again. Who in this world could believe that Sean Richards would get more for leadership than Mark Brantley? Who in this world would believe that? But again, this is for Mark Brantley. Check yourself. Remember when he went to the tabernacle meeting, how he said that there's no vacancy, so don't brush off your suit, Spad. Don't brush off your suit. And so with all... Thank you. Thank you. And so that poll which put Sean Richards, everybody know that Sean Richards is a hopeless leader. Even the PAM people know that. Even the PAM people know that. So how is it that in a poll, Sean Richards could be more than Mark, and Mark now is the premier and he's even gone up? How is it? But again, this is Timothy sending a message to Mark. Don't get too, up with yourself. I know you got your big ambition, but see there, the poll say that you ain't so popular. The poll say you ain't so popular out there. Take that message out there. And so clearly, this is a poll that's designed to send messages out for Tim. We in the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party say that with all the unfairness that's out there in this country, it's time to bring back fairness. It's time to bring back fairness to the country. It's time to bring back fairness for the young people. It's time to bring back fairness to the system. And so we want to tell you that vote for Labour. Tell your friends it's time to put on your matching shoes. If you ain't dust them off yet, go home and dust them off tonight before you go to sleep. Put on your matching shoes. Go out there and tell your neighbor, vote for Labour, so that you can have a better life, because it's all about you. Thank you.